coronavirus outbreak. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jackie Umburu and our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. 14 more positive cases of coronavirus have been reported in the country, bringing the total of those affected to 172. Of the 14 new cases, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe disclosed that 12 are Kenyan, while the other 2 are foreigners. Amid the rise in number, 3 more people were declared free of COVID-19 after they tested negative for the contagion. But to further curb the spread of the disease, the CS announced tougher actions that include closure of all golf clubs in the country. Nancy Okware brings us this report.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe on Tuesday confirmed that more Kenyans have tested positive for coronavirus. The new cases bringing the total of those infected in the country to 172. Half of the new confirmed cases hailing from Nairobi, with more counties such as Mandera recording first cases joining the list of counties affected.
We have tested 696 samples, out of which 14 people have tested positive for the disease. 12 of the 14 are Kenyans, while 2 are foreign nationals. Mombasa has 2 new ones. Machakos has 1. Kisii has 1. Kiambu has 1. And Mandera has 2 cases.
Acting Director General in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, disclosed that most of the patients are stable, with only 1 under critical care.
This person is doing well. In fact, we have been in contact with the doctors who are taking care of him. And we are looking at a possibility of 1 or 2 days he'll be out of the ventilator.
On this day, the CS announced what will come as good news, as 3 more have been given a clean bill of health from COVID-19. The negative results bringing the total number of recoveries to 7. Kagwe is however cautioning Kenyans against laxity and that the country is not out of the woods yet.
The mortality rate for us has been quite low, but this is no reason for us to be relaxed at all. We are akin to a boat that is sailing towards a massive storm. Let us brace ourselves for bad news.
For this reason, the CS announced further measures targeting playgrounds where a majority of Kenyans have been going for recreational activities.
We have observed in some walking clubs where people are running next to each other, and there is no better way of passing this virus than when they do so. Golf clubs will remain closed, and the clubhouses will remain closed.
In the meantime, the government is set to embark on mass testing of all health workers and those attending to people in the various quarantine zones in the country. So far, nearly 5,000 people have been tested for COVID-19 in the country. With 14 more coronavirus cases having been recorded on Tuesday in the country, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe is calling on Kenyans to be ready and be prepared for tough times ahead, even as he cautioned Kenyans against laxity, owing to the fact that most of the cases being recorded in the country are mild. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy Okware, for that report. Now, a good number of public service vehicle drivers are in police custody for flouting government directive on cessation of movement in and out of Nairobi metropolitan area. The drivers of vehicles currently being in various police stations were arrested as they attempted to dodge roadblocks mounted by police by driving off main roads. This coming as some commuters remain stranded on the roads as police enforce the directive banning movement to and from the capital.
The execution of President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive that placed Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale counties under partial lockdown after being declared COVID-19 hotspots, has left a good number of commuters stranded. The long arm of the law catching up with some public service operators who attempted to defy the decree on cessation of movement. More than 10 vehicles, for instance, were impounded and are currently being held at Lari police station. The vehicles are said to have left Nairobi, heading towards various destinations through undesignated routes as drivers attempted to circumvent roadblocks erected by the police officers. Several commuters appear to have been caught off guard soon after the directive took effect in Nairobi metropolitan area on Monday. In Limuru, Deputy County Commissioner Charles Mukere noted that the police will implement the directive fully in a bid to combat the spread of the coronavirus.
Magari ya chakula ya mizigo ambayo kwenda kujenga biashara tunaruhusu waende kwa sababu hawezi kumusha nchi yetu kwa sababu ya hiyo, lakini safari za ambazo hazina msingi hazieleweki ndio tunajaribu kuzuia.
On the other hand, most travelers plying the Nairobi-Mombasa highway chose to avoid trouble as they turned back at a police roadblock mounted at Lukenya.
Toka huko jana saa 2 kutoka Kakamega. Tumekuja na gari kufika Nairobi tukapita mzuri. Kufika Athi River gari kaharibika. Tukahitaji msaada, ikawa msaada imeshindikana. Mpaka tumelala pale Athi River mpaka asubuhi.
Machakos Police Commander Karanja Muriuri said that his team also made sure they manned access points that have previously served as escape routes.
They were told to stay at Nairobi, not to come in Machakos. So we are telling them to go back to Nairobi.
Shida ni wenye wanatembea kwa miguu, wanapita kwa kando ya daraja, na kwa sasa tunaongeza maafisa wa polisi kwamba nafikiria tutawazuia.
Hiyo masaa alipitisha, angetupea hata at least angetupea like leo ama kesho, aseme sasa hiyo kitu itakuwa effective from Wednesday. At least ametupea allowance, tumejipanga.
In Kisii, residents insist that a ban on free movement in and out of the capital will deal them a major blow as their businesses will come to a halt.
Ni heri tuchukue hii sheria ndogo ndogo kabla tuchaenda zile za lockdown. Lockdown ni mbaya zaidi. Wacha avatari quarantine na curfew ya saa 1 mpaka saa 11.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
Now moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta is urging Kenyans to follow protective guidelines issued by Health Ministry on coronavirus to prevent further spread of the deadly disease. Speaking on KBC affiliate Shoro FM, the head of state said he is not willing to lock Kenyans in their houses unless the corona pandemic worsens. The president explained the drastic measures announced on Monday targeting Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties where necessary and aims at reducing the spread of the disease to other counties.
A day after President Uhuru Kenyatta put Nairobi, Kilifi, Mombasa and Kwale counties under containment, restricting entry and exit of persons in and from the 4 counties, the head of state would invite 3 Kikuyu FM stations at State House for a live interview. The president taking the chance to explain the decision to control movement of people to and from the 4 counties, which he says aims at reducing chances of coronavirus spreading to other counties.
Na kwigitira ri ni kugitira kinya ciana ciaku, kinya mutumia waku, kinya aciari aku, kinya ona aria murigainie nao neguo ni kugitira othe.
To protect means you protect everyone around you. That is the only medicine. If we don't change the way we live, we can see what we are seeing in UK or America. You can see even the UK Prime Minister is in ICU.
Kana oria tuigwe China, kana oria turona America, kana oria turona kinya bururi wa kuria Ngeretha, Great Britain, ni murona kinya na Prime Minister wa intensive care.
President Uhuru Kenyatta directing security agents manning roadblocks to allow persons who have genuine reasons to cross over, insisting the containment aims at reducing mass movements of people.
Ona gikorwo ni tuhingite andu kuingira na kuma kuria tuhingite neguo ni turoiga atiriri
Those bringing food or coming to Nairobi to buy goods will not be restricted. We want life to continue. The restriction does not aim to torture people.
Na shoke na rute tondu ni turenda wira uthie na mbere tutigiwa ni twahiga tikinya irio kana ki ati andu matingihota guthie kugura irio na marehe nigetha mendi maundu macio ti mahingiririe neguo kuhinga uria tuhingite ti kuhinyiriria andu ni kugitira andu mundu wina bata na mundu wina gitumi ithuĩ wĩra witũ nĩ gũteithia mũndũ ũcio ahingie wĩra ũrĩa egũkĩte gwĩka na ahote kũinũka.
Pleading with his residents of Central Kenya to follow preventive directive issued by Health Ministry, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the fight against coronavirus calls for concerted efforts. The president said the prevention was the only way to avoid the scenarios being witnessed in Europe and America. The head of state said he is not willing to lock Kenyans in their houses unless the corona pandemic worsens.
Andũ aitũ nĩ tũrutithanie wĩra ũyũ hamwe. Nĩ tũteithanie. Nĩ twĩtĩkĩre kũrũmĩrĩra mawatho marĩa tũraheo. Nĩ mũtahikagwe na
ICU. My people, let's work together to eliminate coronavirus. Follow what Minister Mutahi Kagwe is saying. Because if it gets worse, we have no option but lockdown. As a government, we don't want a lockdown. But people must follow what the Ministry of Health directs.
Bururi, ithuĩ ta thirikari nĩ tũroiga tũtirenda kũhinyĩrĩria andũ aitũ. Nĩ tũroiga nĩ tũrenda andũ mahote gũthiĩ na mbere na maũndũ mao. No nginya nao matĩye mikakati ĩrĩa ĩkĩrĩtwo nĩ Ministry of Health.
At the same time, the president reprimanded Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi for defying self-quarantine measures, thereby spreading the disease. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Now moving on, the government has erected 14 roadblocks across Mombasa, Kilifi and Kwale counties ahead of the implementation of the partial lockdown in the region beginning Wednesday evening. The development coming as transporters, traders and commuters appeal to the county and national governments to consider providing them with basic commodities to cushion them from possible adverse effects of the lockdown.
Half-packed inter-county bus terminus characterized terminuses in Mombasa County on Tuesday. Transporters, traders and commuters bracing for worse days ahead as the 21 travel ban takes effect beginning Wednesday 7 p.m.
Ndio wametuambia kwamba kuanzia kesho hakuna magari. Je, wale tulio na manyumba tunatakana kulipa tutafanyaje? Angalau hata kama wangeruhusu magari matano ya kutoka tu yaende kaunti za Voi ili ya kwamba nasi tupate kujimudu kwa kitu kingine.
Around 95% kazi yangu itakuwa down. I'm so affected. Hata hii mambo ya kafyu ya kuanzia saa 1 hakuna magari, nimko affected by 70%.
The group pleading with the government to lift the inter-county ban and consolidate the 3 counties into one area to ease movement and give businesses a respite as well as avail basic commodities.
Kama ingewezekanika ingekuwa hizi kaunti 3 zinaweza zikashirikiana, ikawa mtu anaweza akatoka kaunti nyingine kama ni Kilifi County mpaka Mombasa County, kwa sababu shughuli nyingi za watu wa Malindi lazima wafike Mombasa County. Naomba serikali iangalie pande zote mbili, isiumize mwananchi, isijikubalie hiyo yenyewe. Kwa hivyo tuomba rais, kama ni msaada uwe wa kila mtu.
Meanwhile, governors from Kilifi, Mombasa and Kwale are scheduled to hold a meeting to discuss possible scenarios in the wake of the partial lockdown directive. Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi says county administrators have already set aside emergency relief funds for the residents.
Tuzungumze na serikali ya kitaifa ili tuone ni vipi wale watu ambao wanaishi katika kaunti jirani na wanafanya kazi katika kaunti nyingine, ni vipi ambavyo tunaweza kuwawezesha ili kuendelea kwenda katika makazi yao na kuendelea kupata pato.
Coast Regional Commissioner John Elongata says whereas the movement of parcels within the counties is not prohibited, residents are advised to stay indoors until the risk of COVID-19 pandemic is contained.
Ukikaa kwako hayatatoka pale yaende kwa mwingine. ama hayatakupata. Na nafikiria hizo siku 21 zinatosha kupunguza haya maambukizi.
Elongata saying 14 roadblocks have already been erected across the 3 counties as the government moves to enforce the 21-day directive that will see cessation of movement across the 3 coastal counties.
Nobody should be worried about the roadblocks. Roadblocks are not meant to harass anybody. They're just meant to enable us to implement government directives.
Following government's directive to restrict movements in these 3 counties of Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi, as from tomorrow, residents living in the northern coast of Mombasa won't be allowed into Mombasa County past the Mtwapa Bridge. And for the residents living in the southern coast of Mombasa won't be allowed into Mombasa County past the Shikadabu roadblock. Therefore, members of the public have been urged to effectively plan for the 21-day ban, which takes effect tomorrow. Reporting for Channel 1 News from Mombasa County, I'm Michael Mondiga.
Now from Mombasa County, let's cross over to Nairobi County, where traders and motorists have decried the cessation of movement in and out of Nairobi, saying the latest government directive has left them stranded in the capital as well as cutting off their only means of earning a living. Their concerns coming a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta declared Nairobi, Kilifi, Kwale and Mombasa counties as COVID-19 hotspots, restricting movement in the 4 counties. Tuesday morning, Nairobi Central Business District, location Accra Road. We make a stop at TSS Sacco bus terminal. We meet Penina Agira, who was on transit to Busia from Mombasa alongside her children. A visibly dejected Agira is in despair.
Nimetoka sehemu za Mombasa kuanzia saa 12 asubuhi jana. Tulisafiri mpaka tukafika Nairobi hapa saa 9. Sasa kufika hapo gari lilikwama kabisa, walisema gari hawezi kuendelea na safari. Sasa tumekuwa hapa na watoto, hatuna la kusema la kufanya. Tumekuwa hapa sasa, tunaomba tu waweze kutusaidia.
She is stranded. She has been here since Monday 3 p.m. shortly before President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the ban on travel in and out of Nairobi.
The cessation of movement within the Nairobi.
Agira's troubles are much the same as those of dozens of other Kenyans who are affected by the directive.
Kukula kwangu kunategemea hii barabara. Kwa saizi nafanyia Narok. Lakini familia yangu inaishi hapa Nairobi. And by the way nilikuja kuwasalimia, nirudi niende kazi yangu. Sasa nimefungiwa, sijui watakulaje kwa sababu sijaenda. Mimi ndio gala, mimi ndio kila kitu.
This is Accra Road. On a normal day, this bus terminal has vehicles ferrying passengers to and from Nyeri, Nakuru, Nanyuki, Kerugoya. But since the restriction of movement order came into effect, now the buses that are here at the terminal are ferrying passengers within Nairobi. This situation is replicated in various terminals in the capital where public service vehicles headed for the upcountry normally operate from. The affected public service vehicle operators already are feeling the full weight of this directive.
Serikali imesema magari isafiri kwenda Ushago. Tunaona kama njaa ndio itatua juu corona tuioni. Ni njaa itatua ndio tumeanza kuona sasa.
Sisi vijana wengi hapa kama unavyoona hawa vijana wote ni watu ambao tunategemea kupata riziki kutokana na mabasi. Sasa hizi tunaambiwa hakuna usafiri, hakuna kupakia abiria, hakuna kuteremsha abiria. Sisi sasa sijui tutafanya nini ndio tupate riziki. Tunaambiwa kwanza lockdown inakuja, hata kabla tufike kwa lockdown. Hizo siku 21 mimi ni mtu ambaye nifanye kazi leo nipate 200 niende kulisha familia yangu leo.
Wametumiwa pesa kwa wizi. Chakula ya kukula. Lazima tukuje asubuhi tuyatolee. Na ile inaendelea na kukuja ndio asiumie.
Their sentiments resonating well with those of traders operating from these locations.
Ninapokuja ninaenda na sabuni, naenda nimenunua mboga, chakula napata. Sasa hii nimekuja na kilo 2 ya njugu na kuanga hoka. Sijauza hata mtu mmoja, nitauzia nani? Kila mtu ana pesa. Tunategemeanga hao watu wana travel ndio tunawauzia. Yaani maisha yetu imekuwa mwisho.
Mtu aliregister huduma namba. Atumedo kwa account yake na to keep off janga juu imekuwa ni too much.
The story is different for those in food supplies and other cargo as their businesses went on as usual. But truck drivers claim even though the directive doesn't affect them, authorities still frustrate their activities.
Hizi lori zinabeba maparcel, mzigo na chakula. Na kitu kama hiyo gari imesimama pale na imebeba machungwa. Sasa unajua ile joto ya mzigo zingine, ile machungwa itaharibika pale.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru. Well, that was a report I prepared earlier on, and on that note, let's take a short break. Still more ahead.
Insurance Facts, brought to you by Insurance Regulatory Authority.
What has been your greatest challenge as a parent during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic situation? As we wait for the pandemic to be over at home, COVID-19 has given us an opportunity to reconnect with our children. Join Nakada during Good Morning Kenya Breakfast Show as we discuss positive parenting. Remember, parenting is all about you. Nakada, for a nation free from alcohol and drug abuse.
And welcome back. Now let's proceed. As the number of COVID-19 confirmed cases continue to rise in the country, national and county governments have continued to put stringent measures in a bid to stem the spread of the pandemic. In Nairobi, youth-led organizations appear to have taken up the challenge presented by Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, requiring them to be more proactive efforts aimed at combating the pandemic, setting up hand-washing stations in Mathare and Kibera informal settlements.
Ongoing efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 received a shot in the arm Tuesday when youth groups responded to calls by Health Cabinet Secretary to take lead role in ongoing campaigns. Youth groups drawn from Nairobi County partnering with UN Habitat, which will provide financial and logistical support to set up 10 hand-washing stations in some of the informal settlements. UN Habitat Executive Director Maimuna Mod Sharif says the facilities will be overseen by youth attendants from respective communities who will assist residents who often have no piped water supply in their homes on best hand-washing practices. Meanwhile, a 165-strong international group, including 92 former presidents and prime ministers, along with the current economic and health leaders in the developed and developing world, have come together to demand the creation of a G20 executive task force and an immediate global pledging conference which would approve and coordinate a multi-billion-dollar coronavirus fighting fund. In an open letter addressed to G20 leaders, the group, which wants both to speed up the search for a vaccine, cure and treatments and revive the global economy, urges global collaboration and commitment to funding far beyond the current capacity of the existing international institutions.
Cases in the region. Yeah, we have 2 cases in Nakuru. Just by looking at this.
And a regional COVID-19 command center linking all the 14 counties of Rift Valley region has been unveiled in Nakuru. Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya says operations of the command center will be overseen by officers drawn from relevant national and county governments departments, including security, administration, public health, and social services.
Basically, we get all the reports concerning COVID-19 from our respective county commissioners every morning and every evening. The information that the county commissioners relay is not just from them. They have multi-agency teams that they're working with, including the police, as she has correctly put, including health officials, people who are directly involved in this war that we are waging now. So the information that they bring here is verified and is accurate.
Elsewhere, churches in Kisii County have been warned against resuming worship services lest they contravene anti-coronavirus measures being implemented by the government. Kisii Central Deputy County Commissioner Leonard Mugote says they have received intelligence reports indicating that some church leaders had instructed their counterparts at the grassroots to resume routine spiritual services at their respective churches.
Kuna baadhi ambao wameandika barua kuambia viongozi wao huko mashinani ya kwamba watu waende makanisani ila waeke ile nafasi ya mita 1.5 kwa kila mmoja. Hilo tangazo ni potovu. Bado serikali haijaruhusu makanisa yafunguliwe. Kwa hivyo makanisa yabaki kama yamefungwa Jumamosi yale ya Sabato na Jumapili yale mengine mpaka hali ya corona itakapodhibitiwa.
Meanwhile, Mandera Governor Ali Roba has asked the national government to avail COVID-19 testing equipments at county hospitals. The call coming after 2 persons from the region tested positive for coronavirus.
We urge the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Mr. Mutahi Kagwe, to consider approving KEMRI to establish a sample collection center in Mandera now that the flights have been banned. And we have COVID-19 cases, 2 of them reported now to have happened.
Beatrice Getonyingetich, Channel 1 News Hour.
Now, the Director of Public Prosecution, Nudin Haji, is pushing for maximum possible penalty for Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi over alleged deliberate spreading of the coronavirus after he decided to self-isolate himself after a trip abroad. According to Haji, the Deputy Governor committed a serious crime by failing to adhere to set guidelines, thereby exposing the people of Kilifi to risk. Now, Saburi was arrested at the Coast General Hospital Friday after he was reported to have recovered from COVID-19 disease.
The woes of Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi began upon his return from a trip from Germany after he allegedly refused to quarantine himself for the mandatory 14 days. Saburi, who would later be diagnosed with COVID-19 disease, was forcefully quarantined. His arrest at the Coast General Hospital Friday came soon after he was given a clean bill of health. Today, Director of Public Prosecution Nudin Haji said he will be pushing for stiffer sentencing for Kilifi Deputy Governor Gideon Saburi for what he termed as ill intent on the part of the Deputy Governor.
It was a serious crime in our opinion. He has resulted in quite a number of people being infected or suspected to be infected, and he has to face the law. If anybody, including the police or prosecutors or the magistrates, break the law, they will face the law, especially in relation to the COVID pandemic.
Nudin Haji says Saburi intentionally contravened the government's directive to self-isolate. Saburi has since apologized for his actions, saying he is remorseful for the panic he has caused to the people of Kilifi County. He is being held at Port Police in Mombasa as he awaits a ruling on whether he will still be held for 14 days at Manyani GK prison or released on bond Thursday. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
Now let's take a global outlook where Japan has declared a state of emergency amid a spike in coronavirus cases. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declared a month-long state of emergency in response to the coronavirus pandemic and unveiled a record stimulus package aimed at steering the world's third largest economy through its biggest crisis since the war. The development coming as the globe recorded at least 1,358,600 COVID-19 cases with over 76,000 fatalities. A recent sharp rise in COVID-19 cases in Tokyo and other urban areas had forced Japan to rethink its approach towards stemming the outbreak. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declaring a one-month emergency covering Osaka, Kanagawa, Saitama, Chiba, Hyogo and Fukuoka prefectures as well as the capital. Japan has 4,100 confirmed cases with 97 reported deaths. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is said to be in good spirits after spending the night in intensive care being treated for coronavirus. The 55-year-old is said to have been stable overnight and was being given oxygen devoid of a ventilator. Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove became the latest politician to self-isolate after a family member showed symptoms. This is a further 758 hospital patients died of COVID-19 in England, bringing the total number of confirmed hospital deaths in England to 5,655, up from 4,897 at the same time on Monday. Elsewhere, Spain has reported a slight increase in the daily death toll of coronavirus for the first time in 5 days, with 743 people succumbing overnight. In Iran, alcohol poisoning is reported to have killed over 600 people since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak. People are said to be drinking unsafe alcohol in the mistaken hope it would protect them from the virus. There have been more than 62,500 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Iran, although the daily number of confirmed cases has decreased over the past week. And a general closure is being imposed across Israel ahead of the Jewish Passover holiday. No travel will be allowed between cities between Tuesday evening and Friday morning, and in Jewish majority areas, nobody should leave their home from Wednesday afternoon, when Jewish families will have their ritual Seder meal, until Thursday morning. The government fears the custom of holding big seders could spread the coronavirus, which has affected more than 9,000 Israelis and claimed 60 lives. This as the World Health Organization allayed fears that Africa will be used as a testing ground for coronavirus vaccine. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom condemned attributed comments to two French doctors who suggested a vaccine for the coronavirus could be tested in Africa. And still on matters related to COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic has plunged the world into uncertainty, with constant news about the pandemic creating a sense of unease among many Kenyans. The obtaining situation is taking a toll on people's mental health. So how can we protect our mental health in the course of the pandemic?
Concerned about the impact of COVID-19 is understandable, but the constant flooding of information can make existing mental health problems worse. What then should one do to protect their mental health? Limit the amount of time spent reading or watching things which aren't making you feel better. Perhaps decide on a specific time to check in with the news. Stay informed by sticking to trusted sources of information such as the Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. Mute keywords which might be triggering on Twitter and unfollow or mute accounts. Mute WhatsApp groups and hide Facebook posts and feeds if you find them too overwhelming. Wash your hands, but not excessively. Stay connected with people. Increasing numbers will join those already in self-isolation, so now might be a good time to make sure you have the right phone numbers and email addresses of the people you care about. Avoid burnout. With weeks and months of the coronavirus pandemic ahead, it is important to have downtime. You can continue to access nature and sunlight whenever possible. Do exercise, eat well, and stay hydrated. You can reach the Ministry of Health through emergency toll-free line 0800-721316 or through 0729 471414 and 0732 353535 for more information. You can get more information on COVID-19 by calling 719 or dialing *719# on your phone.
Now, on a separate matter, retired Archbishop Raphael Ndingi Mwananzeki was laid to rest at Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi on Tuesday in a private ceremony that was only open to his close family members, priests, a bishop, and a section of the political class. Now, the late retired cleric who died at the age of 89 was laid to rest in a crypt in the basement of the church in line with the Catholic Church customs. A solemn mood engulfed Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi as the Catholic Church and the nation at large bid farewell to retired Archbishop Ndingi Mwananzeki, who served the Catholic Church for 50 years as a priest and a bishop. John Cardinal Njue leading the Requiem Mass
for the retired Archbishop at Holy Family, which served as an area of his jurisdiction from 1997 to 2007, when Dingi retired.
That one day we shall see Archbishop Raphael Dingi again and enjoy his friendship.
The burial ceremony that saw invited persons observe social distance in line with the government directive to combat the spread of coronavirus also saw those allowed to receive the Eucharist pick it from designated points to reduce possible spread of coronavirus.
Into your presence, so that he may enjoy eternal life and peace and be raised up in glory with all your saints. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Before the burial at the church basement, the clergy directed that only bishops would be allowed at the site of interment after the Mass. Born on December 25, 1931 in Manyani village in Mwala location in Machakos County, the late Dingi Mwana Nzeki served in priesthood for close to 6 decades after quitting his teaching job as a P3 teacher. He has been hailed as a charitable cleric who helped victims of hunger and drought, especially during the 1999 famine, which affected sections of the country.
He fought for the innocent, for the persecuted, for the least in the society. Let us all, therefore, in emulating him, learn how to place the fate of others before our own, and we shall be the good leaders and persons that this world is asking for.
Among his attributes, he was kind, sometimes stubborn, a firebrand who was deeply spiritual. Here lies a patriot who loved God, church, and country.
Almighty and merciful God, that as you made your servant, Archbishop Raphael Dingi, an ambassador for Christ on earth, so you may raise him, purified by this sacrifice, to be seated with Christ in heaven, who lives and reigns forever and ever.
Dingi will be remembered for having fought for the oppressed in the society and playing crucial roles in development of education. For Channel 1 News, I'm Gladys Mongai.
May he rest in peace. Now, the High Court has ordered Kirinyaga County Assembly to halt a motion relating to the impeachment of Governor Anne Mombi. This follows an application by the governor arguing that if the impeachment proceedings are allowed to proceed, her constitutional right will be violated. Kirinyaga MCAs were set to discuss the impeachment motion against her tomorrow.
A day before Kirinyaga County Assembly commenced debate on impeachment motion against Governor Anne Waiguru, the High Court has stopped the process. The High Court agreeing with the defense argument that the coronavirus pandemic would deny her a fair public hearing. In the application, Governor Waiguru had argued that the timing of the impeachment is suspect, as the said motion has been tabled at a time when she cannot prepare her defense due to inability to access most of the offices due to coronavirus pandemic. According to Justice Weldon Correll, the Assembly, by failing to take into account the effects of the pandemic on its operations, it had chosen a path that will result in the violation of constitutional rights and principles. Yesterday, 5 members of parliament drawn from Kirinyaga County drew their weight behind the impeachment of area Governor Anne Waiguru. The Jubilee Party lawmakers also told off Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju, whom they accused of interfering with county affairs by reprimanding members of County Assembly behind the motion tabled in the Assembly last week. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Now let's shift gears where Kiambu Deputy Governor Joyce Wanjiru Ngugi may have to wait longer before her swearing into office after a judge who was to administer the oath failed to turn up for the event. Governor James Nyoro's cabinet, however, appears fully constituted after 10 county executive committee members were sworn into office months after dissolution of cabinet by the county chief. This coming amid investigations into circumstances surrounding the mysterious death of a 25-year-old man who is said to have suffocated from tear gas allegedly lobbed by police into an open-air market in Busia to disperse crowds who failed to observe social distancing. These and other stories in our county news.
The recently appointed Kiambu Deputy Governor will not assume office soon after an event to install her on Tuesday failed to take place. The judge who had been expected to administer the oath to Joyce Wanjiru Ngugi did not turn up for the event, leaving CCs as the only county executive members who will assume their responsibilities. The 10 CCs taking the oath administered by Chief Magistrate Kiambu Patricia Gishohi months after Governor James Nyoro dissolved his cabinet.
Great pressure to inaugurate the cabinet today and urge all of you to hit the ground running. Every one of you is qualified and competent to serve in your respective departments.
Led by Kigon Jenga, the new CCs vowed to remain loyal to Nyoro and help him deliver on his mandate.
Your Excellency, our loyalty is to you. We shall work for the remaining period to ensure Kiambu is transformed to what we have always.
That we want to give the people of this county a service that they deserve.
Meanwhile, detectives in Busia are investigating circumstances under which a man died at an open-air market. According to eyewitnesses, the 25-year-old succumbed to suffocation by tear gas allegedly launched by police in an effort to disperse crowds in the wake of coronavirus outbreak.
Sasa huyo jamaa naye kwenda kukimbia wakarusha tear gas ingine kabaki.
Kila siku asubuhi maskara kuja kupiga tear gas hapa sokoni, mama hawezi uza mboga, mama hawezi uza nyanya na walisema kwamba siku za market day peke yake ndio tusifanye biashara.
Tukufe corona lakini tukae sokoni tutandike.
Wamechukulia
na tear gas.
Wawachane na mambo ya kuchunga watu, sisi wenyewe tujichunge. Wawache watu wause vitu, sisi naumia. Corona kani yenye nasa kuwa watu.
Corona haina tiba hiyo.
The number of those who have died after the incident has risen to 2, as dozens now serious injuries. Also, a family in Kayole to Shairiane area is in distress after they were evicted from their rented house over rent arrears. Elizabeth Akinyi and her 7 children have spent the last 3 days in cold after she was left with limited options, having surrendered some of her household items as collateral.
Huyo ashanitolea vitu nje. Na wakati alikuwa anatoa vitu nje mimi sikuwa. Nilikuwa nimetoka.
A top-performing candidate in 2019 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education has been devastated by failure to secure a slot at a public university. The 19-year-old Collins Mwangi performed excellently when he scored a B+, becoming one of the top 10 candidates, albeit living with disability. He's concerned that his dream to pursue Bachelors of Medicine may not come to pass.
Collins hajaweza kufanya kitu, anashinda amelala, analia tu kwa sababu sasa hata anaona kama dream yake imefika mwisho, imekuwa shattered.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Sarafina Robi.
Dad has not been feeling well for a long time. He has become so weak, we can't play together.
Why are you refusing to go to the hospital? I told you there is no way you'll know if it is TB or not if you do not go and get tested. If by any chance you find out that you have TB, you'll get the treatment for free from any hospital. All the tests are free. All the medications are free. Are you waiting to infect your family?